5th, 2012. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Dennis Moody will open us in prayer.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We ask you to be with us, guide us, and give us wisdom over our decisions tonight that will be pleasing to you and helpful to the citizens of Dyersburg. We ask you to be with those in our community that have lost loved ones, comfort their family, be with those that are sick and not able to be with us here this evening, and watch over them. Watch over us, guide us, and direct us, and these things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is roll call. Please show all present here tonight. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from October 15th, 2012. Entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Have a motion from Jewel Horner, second from Bart Williams. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? New business, Sanitation Committee meeting November 2nd, 2012. Chairwoman Jewel Horner.
Okay. I'd like to read all the minutes and then come back and do the motions. That's okay. November the 2nd, 2012. The Street Sanitation Committee met Friday, November the 2nd, 2012 at 9 a.m. in the Mayor's Conference Room at City Hall. Members present included Mayor John Holden, Kevin Chaney, Committee Chairwoman Jewel Horner, other Alderman board members, Terry Glover, staff and others present, John Damesworth, Sanitation Department, Tanya Sierra, State Gazette, Ursley McLemore, Dyer County Litter Coordinator, Tommy Edmonds, Crockett, Dyer, and Gibson County Regional Solid Waste Director, and Steve Anderson, City Treasurer. Chairwoman Jewel Horner opened the meeting requesting prayer by Mayor Holden. Following the prayer, Chairwoman continued the meeting with discussion of new business. Mr. John Damesworth, Sanitation Department, presented a request to replace the weight scales at the city landfill. The following was noted. The support steel within the scales foundation is rusted and worn out. The scales have basically outlived their life expectancy. The scales persistently weigh too light according to the state of Tennessee routine inspections, which are red flagged at each inspection. Accurate and consistent scale calibration cannot be maintained with the use of the current scale system. Temporary scale calibration costs for servicing the scales is approximately $1,100 per service visit. Mr. Damesworth further noted in his proposal for replacement that he recommends replacing the old scales with low-profile steel deck truck scales, such as those made and marketed as Rice Lake weighing system scales. These type of scales have a life expectancy of about 25 years, weighing an average of 250 trucks per day. Mr. Damesworth also discussed a proposal to purchase a 3/4-ton diesel service truck with a utility bed. This truck would provide the combined work service of several older trucks that are in constant repair and often unable to perform required work tasks. These tasks include heavy water tank, 1,620 gallons, or about 13,520 pounds, hauling at the landfill, on-site service repair when other sanitation trucks break down in the city, and hauling heavy dumpster buggy trailers required for transporting various dumpsters to specific locations or the landfill for waste disposal. Mr. Damesworth stated that he would concede the 2012-13 purchase of a $230,000 front-end loader, budgeted 2012-13, until next year's budget request in order to replace the more needed weight scales. With no further discussion, Chairwoman Jewel Horner entertained a motion regarding the scales proposal. Alderman Kevin Chaney made a motion to put the recommended Rice Lake weighing system type truck scale specification out for bid. The motion was seconded by Mayor Holden. The motion passed by full committee vote. From further discussion, Alderman Kevin Chaney motioned to amend his original motion to include the purchase of a 3/4-ton diesel truck with utility bed and to delete the front-end loader budgeted item from the 2012-13 budget. The motion was seconded by Chairwoman Jewel Horner. The motion passed 2-1 with Mayor Holding voting against the motion, recommending the committee further view the request. In other business, Mr. Ursley McLemore presented a request for the city to consider an oil-based collection site within the city to benefit all Dyer County residents. He presented a memorandum discussing the significant points and advantages of the household waste site and the potential shared involvement with other Dyer County cities of New Bern and Trimble. Mr. McLemore stated he is requesting the committee review his proposal for future recommendation of a site location. The committee agreed to review his request. With no further business, the meeting adjourned at 9:45.
I would like to make a motion that we seek bids on the proposed waste scales.
Okay, have a motion from Bart Williams, our second.
Could I make a correction to the minutes first, please?
Sure.
Because on the second page, the fourth paragraph, the last sentence, it says the motion passed 2-1 with Mayor Holden voting against the motion, recommending the committee further review the request. And I think that you said that you wanted to look at the truck, but that I don't believe you recommended the committee further review the request.
I voted against buying the truck, whatever it needs to say. I voted against the $46,000
Okay.
expenditure, so whatever we needed to say. Okay.
All right.
We'll make that correction. Thank you. Yeah, we've got a motion from Bart Williams for the scales. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Joe Warner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
What did you estimate the scales would cost?
$36,000,
I think the scales were $80,000.
80?
Did you say scales, Mr. Kerr?
Yes, I said scales.
Yes, sir.
Bob, I had Tennessee, not Tennessee, but West Tennessee, Memphis Scale Works come down and look at my scales when all this was going on. They got our contract right now, checking our scales twice a year, make sure they're in calibration and everything. They came down and looked at my scales, and they were figuring on, and I got two different estimates, one on Rice Lake and one on Fairbanks. The scales we have now are cardinal scales. Okay, they're obsolete. Everybody's getting away from them because of the problems they're having with them. I got two different quotes, and they come down and they brought a construction man down, look at my foundation. That's when we was thinking about tearing foundation and everything out. Rice Lake scales was $78,000 for tearing the foundation out and everything. Now the Rice Lake scales by themselves was $36,000. The Fairbanks scales was, if my memory serves me correct, was about $40,000 on the Rice Lake scales. And I found out they came back and looked again, my foundation is okay on my scales. So we can take those scales out, set another scales. What they'll do, they'll come in, they'll set up the scales that we buy, they'll set up on the road over there. We'll continue weighing until they set my scales that I got there out now, then they'll set the new scales back on the same foundations, which means we're gonna get them for considerable less. I'm guessing, don't hold me to this, I'm guessing about $50,000 is what I'm guessing on the scales.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. The second motion that we had was further discussion. Alderman Kevin Chaney mentioned motion to amend his original motion to include the purchase of a 3/4 ton diesel truck with utility bed and to delete the front-end loader budgeted item from 2012-2013 budget. The motion was seconded by Chairwoman Horner, and the motion passed 2-1 with Mayor Holden voting against the motion. So I would like to put this in the motion that we purchase the 3/4 ton diesel truck with utility bed as prescribed in the committee.
Okay, have a motion for the 3/4 ton truck. Is there a second?
Coming from a committee, it doesn't need a second, according to Robert Rules of Order.
Sorry, ask that again now.
According to Robert Rules of Order, if it's coming from a committee, it does not require a second.
We second every motion up here for the past 6 years.
Don't we go by Robert Rules of Order?
We do.
Okay. I believe Robert Rules of Order always If it comes from a committee, there's no second required.
I don't know if we have a parliamentarian, but for the purpose of discussion, I'll second the motion.
Okay, there is a second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I've got a question, please. I noticed that you voted against it. Can you give us the reasons, and maybe there's another vehicle within the city that could be used for John at the present time without spending this much money?
Yes, sir. I voted against it because I didn't know about it prior to the meeting occurring. That's the first I've heard of it, and I'd just like to have more information prior to voting on expenditures of $46,000. Since that time, I did ask John Dainsworth to supply the expenses for the 3 trucks that he mentioned that we have incurred over the past few years, and he did bring that to me. I also asked Greg Williams if there were trucks available within the city to share, and Greg sent an email out that I sent to y'all late this afternoon that there are some additional trucks in the gas department that would be available for use by Mr. Dainsworth in that department, one being a 1999 GMC 1-ton truck flatbed, other being a 2008 Ford 3/4-ton truck with utility bed. So those 2 trucks are available for the use of the sanitation department. We've always shared equipment around here. I just personally oppose spending $46,000 for a new truck. That's why I voted against it.
Okay.
And Mr. Dainsworth has agreed that that will suffice his needs if we transfer that truck from the gas department to the sanitation department?
That would be what now?
Would that suffice your needs?
I haven't drove the truck. With all due respect, let me go back and say something, Bob, if you will. When we started talking about the scales and stuff, the scales had went down, and I got to thinking how I knew revenues was tight, and I got to thinking about how we could save the city money, you know, with this. And I thought about it, and I wanted to gamble on my front loader truck, which was $230,000, and I knew it was going to be hard to come up, because at that time I thought the scales were going to cost me $78,000. And I knew it was going to be hard just to dig that money up, you know, 'cause to me it's a lot of money. And so I mentioned this to, I think I mentioned it maybe to you, I know I mentioned it to Kevin, I don't know if, I think I mentioned it to Dennis. The deal was that I traded my $230,000 front loader truck for a set of scales and a new pickup. It's not going to cost $46,000. That's the price they told me to put in there. We get our government discounts. I checked with King Cotton Dodge down here at Covington. They had a ton truck for $36,000 at the time, you know, and this was about a month ago. And with all due respect, you know, I don't want to step on nobody's toe or say anything wrong, but the deal was I traded my front loader truck for a new pickup and a set of scales. That was the deal. That's the deal I thought I was getting. And you know, if we can't do it, we can't do it. Don't blame nobody. But if we can't do it, I just soon to have my front loader truck and let the scales and other stuff go, and we'll just do the best we can.
Aren't you required by the state to keep those scales up in certain
I sure am.
shape and be calibrated and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir, I am.
Have they inspected you in the recent times and told you that it was urgent that you do something about these scales?
Yes, sir. I've been working on this 2 months trying to do something on it.
I think we need to do something about the scales.
Yeah, I do too.
When we had our budget hearings and stuff in May, June, this front-end loader was a priority. Is it still a priority?
Front end loader?
Yeah.
The front end loader is the utmost priority. But I was trying to save money. I have put a truck in the budget for the last 2 years, and I've been turned down.
Well, my concern is if we cannibalize this $230,000 we have in our budget, what are we going to do when this truck, if it's in such bad shape, when it goes out at another month in this year?
I'm running 2
how are we
trucks
gonna
right
do
now,
that if
Kevin.
we spend our money.
I'm running 2 front loader trucks. I got a 1999 Volvo that's got over 100,000 miles on it that is obsolete. I can't even get parts for the bed no more. I can't run it. When a truck goes down, I'm having to run another truck. I'm having to have to take one run truck at night and one in the daytime to keep up with my routes. I desperately need a front loader truck, but I thought that I could gamble with it to try to save the city money for a year. That's what I thought I could do.
Okay, I got a question for Steve.
Well, go ahead, and then I'll,
Okay, Steve?
don't go too far.
What would we do with this enterprise fund that we operate with out there if we had already purchased this truck and then the scales had to be repaired in here? How would we deal with that under our current budget?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
Where
If
would we come up with the money,
it would just come from the fund balance.
fund balance?
Yeah.
So conceivably, we could stick to our budget purchase of the front end loader and repair the scales out of the fund balance.
We could. You're probably going to look at, I mean, you'd be looking at losing money for the year, but
Well, I understand.
and I will say also that revenue at the landfill is down and has been down for the last 2 years.
I'd rather spend the 50,000 on the scales, I think, than the truck. And this large purchase of this truck, it concerns me that we're going to get caught with that anyway, if it's in that bad a shape. Anyway, thank you.
Could I say something? Sure. Mr. Dainsworth put forth the deal, and he wants to forego the front loader, which is in his budget for $230,000. He needs it, but the money is tight, and he's gambling on doing that without the front loader, and he wants to take $100,000 from that front loader and use it to purchase broken scales and a 3/4 ton diesel truck that he needs. To save the city money, he was willing to give up the front loader in his budget this year. The scales in the truck for approximately $100,000 would come from budgeted money for the front end loader, and we hope the front end loader doesn't tear up. The spare front loader is down. He had 3 pickups, and he's now down to 1, which the best one is a 2005 7-year-old, which has 154,000 miles on it. The transmission is slipping, and it's already had 1 transmission replaced. Is pulling a 1,620-gallon water tank, which is over 13,000 pounds. That's just water. That doesn't count the tank or the trailer. And the 1 truck running at the landfill can't run on the road. The average age of trucks should last 10 years. And he has 2 trucks out of service, and he did have 3. The 1999 Dodge is 13 years old with 167,000 miles on it. And a 1997 15-year-old, and both of these have the transmission out of them. And his option, if we don't get a truck, is to repair these, and he doesn't feel that these trucks are worth fixing. He's asked for a truck at least last 2 years to replace that 1999 truck. He needs a 3/4 ton diesel truck to use as a service truck, a water truck, and hauling heavy dumpster buggy trailers. And it would have to be bid out, and the price should be about $46,000 or thereabout. And both scales and trucks should be able to get those for $100,000. And he's requesting moving $100,000 budgeted for the front loader, hoping it won't tear up, to which is budgeted for $230,000, to the more immediate need of scales and a 3/4 ton diesel truck. We want to be able to keep garbage moving as efficiently as possible, and everybody knows how important that is. It is when it tears up anyway. Mr. Dainsworth is head of the department out there, and he has an immediate need that needs fixing. He knows his priorities, and he knows them out there better than any one of us. And he has to live within the budget constraints that we give him. But I think that we should support him and let him have the truck that he needs. Now, these 2 trucks that have been proposed to give to him is a 1999 GMC 1-ton truck with a flatbed. And we have a 1999 13-year-old truck, and it's not working. So that truck wouldn't pull the load. I don't think it would be sufficient for that. And the 2008 Ford 3-ton truck that's available with a utility bed, I would propose that we give that one to him also as the backup for the 1997 truck. So I think that we should support him because he will do and take whatever we give him to work with. He will work with it. But I think we need to support him because I think he knows the priorities out there better than any of us do up here. And I don't think we should be micromanaging and trying to tell him what to do and how to get around it, although he will take whatever we give him. So I think we should support him.
Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. With all due respect, when we came to vote on the budget and the tax increase, she voted against it to fund some of these things that department heads had asked for. Also, you want to cut employee hours by 5 hours per week per employee.
That was just a suggestion.
That's right. That's why I didn't cut recreation services. Yet we have the opportunity to not spend $46,000 and give a fella a 2008 Ford 3/4-ton truck utility bed, which is what he's asking for, with 70,000 miles on it, and we share equipment all over the city. You know, street department gave the fire department a truck that they use. The wastewater department gave the cemetery a dump truck. The engineering department got the recreation a truck. I'm just, again, that's my feelings. I mean, these are the city's trucks. I don't know about making deals. I don't know who made a deal, but I hadn't heard of us making deals before. But anyway.
Well, that was a proposal that Mr. Damesworth made. The trucks, he has normally operated with 3 trucks. 2 of them are torn up now, and the transmission is bad, and the other one is slipping. So I think we should give him his new truck and then give him the 3/4-ton from the gas department also.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask a question here. On our scales, have we been fined for them being off or anything yet?
Dennis, we haven't been fined.
Hadn't been fined, okay.
We have been out there until the last 2 years. Let me explain something. We have never been checked by the state for the scales. All at once they showed up. They said they didn't even know we was there. Well, that's the Department of Agriculture. You know, it comes out and checks your scales. We have to pay us, now we have to pay a fee, $75 a year, for them to check our scales. I have been red tagged 3 times, but the first time I was red tagged was over a year ago. Lightning had struck. I got red tagged. Lightning had struck the scales. We got that worked out. The next 2 times I was red tagged was probably a month apart. And that's when I kept trying to work with the guy with the state, and he was a good guy. He was lenient with us. And I said, look, we're working on these scales. We're trying to get more scales. He came back after they had been calibrated the last time. After I've been red tagged twice, he come back. Well, they were weighing light this time, which means we're losing money.
So we're losing money?
Yes.
And do we know how much we've lost out there?
We don't know how much we're lost, Dennis.
Okay.
At the present time he checked us, we were weighing 120-pound light per section. I don't know how much money we've lost on that, but I talked to him. I said, look, we're trying to work with these scales. We're trying to get something. So the guy let me go without red tagging me. He said, long as y'all trying, we're going to work with you.
You know, the thing about it, that's a very important thing out there is scales.
It is.
Because we can lose a lot of money out there in no time, and we could be fined.
You're right.
You know, so this is something very important is these scales. We don't know exactly, and you know, they can say, well, our foundation is fine and everything. You know as well as I do, when they pull it up, we don't know what they're going to find.
Yeah.
For sure. So we don't know the exact amount it's going to cost for these scales yet. But this is something that we're going to have out there from now on, and it's not going to get any better as far as the scales goes, right?
Right. But Dennis, when we talk about our foundation, let me explain something. These scales come in 5 sections. We've got a solid foundation with piers about this high for the scales to sit on.
Right.
My foundation has been checked. There's no cracks. They're solid.
Okay.
They recommend no foundation work be done.
But we cannot just sit here tonight and know exactly how much it's going to cost installation and everything on these scales because we haven't bid it out or anything yet.
We haven't bid out or nothing.
Okay.
You're right.
And you know, I know this happens all the time. I hate to see it where we've budgeted, everybody's worked so hard on a budget. We're still, money is still short out there. I don't know if anybody's noticed that or not, but it's still just as short now as it was July 1st when we were fighting over this budget. But what I'm getting at is, I think we need to look at these scales first. Let's get this bid out and put in, and then we can go from here, because you don't need that truck tomorrow, do you? I don't think we'll have to spread any water tomorrow. That's the
You're not going to have to
thing.
spread no water tomorrow, Dennis.
But what I'm getting at is, I think this scales is very important.
The
And I
scales
mean,
are, the
if
scales
we
are
turn around
important.
and got this front end, that's fine and dandy, but we've still got scale problems. And if they shut us down because of this, what are we gonna do?
You're either going to get a set of hand scales out there and weigh the trucks, or the other part of the state can shut the landfill down.
All right, so I say that what we need to do, we need to look at getting these scales installed and everything first. Then we'll return and visit this after that, we get this nailed down, how much money it's gonna cost, then we can see about other vehicles. But I think that's the most important thing right now, is getting the scales installed.
Dennis, I totally agree with you. We need to get the scales done. We need to get that gas department truck transferred over there so that he can use it. And then hopefully, we don't have to have a front-end loader. But if we have a front-end loader, then Mr. Steve's going to come back down here and tell us how we're going to be able to get one if it breaks down.
And if we haven't bought the new truck, we have a little bit more money
That's
to
right.
spend on that front end
That's right.
loader.
As far as our front end loader goes, what I said I was gambling on, I can run one, 2 shifts, but you put in a double work on one, but I can make with it, I can make do with it as much as I can. I'll do the best I can.
How old is your best front-end loader? How old is your best front-end loader you got?
2010,
2000.
yeah. I got an 07 Mack. It's been a good truck, still a good truck. But every now and then it go, trucks will go down and you got to have maintenance work done on them, and I hadn't got a spare to fall back on. That's when I think people's call the mayor and ask me what the truck's doing running at 12 o'clock at night, and that's what I do when it goes down. I have to run them at night. There's no question about it.
Let me say one more thing. Mr. Damesworth's proposal was to get the truck and the scales, and he was trying to save the city money by doing that. $130,000 is left over out of that budget. Hopefully, we won't need it for the front-end loader this year. If it tears up, then we're going to have another problem. But Steve said if we go the other way, that we might lose money, what Mr. Kevin proposed. So I just still think we should support Mr. Damesworth and give him the 3/4-ton truck, and that's the motion. And I guess we need to vote on it, unless there's any more discussion.
So what's the motion again?
The motion is that we include the purchase of a 3-ton diesel truck with utility bed and delete the front-end loader from the budgeted 2012-13 budget, and put the truck out for bid.
Could we get a roll call vote, Mayor?
Yes, sir, we can. So we got a motion and a second to purchase a new 3/4-ton truck with utility bed for the sanitation department. Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Recorder.
I'm going to start with, over here to my left, with Mr. Kirk.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Even our committee's voting
So I
no.
can keep up with you.
I vote yes.
I didn't get Mr. James.
No.
Okay. Mayor,
No.
I vote yes.
Mr. Moody,
No.
Ms. Wyatt,
I want to abstain because I know nothing about this. Can you do that?
Yeah, you can, yes.
you abstain?
Yeah. I don't know anything about those trucks. No.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
okay, I have 7 noes, 1 yes, and 1 abstention.
Thank you. Motion fails. Next item, agenda report from Alderman. Bob Kirk.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Bart Williams.
I have a couple of things. This is a pledge I made to Bobby Baker, the manager of the golf course. He told me a while back that he was approaching $1 million in gross revenue since he's taken over, which I think is maybe about 3 years ago now. And I saw him earlier in October, and he said he'd actually met that figure in the time that had passed since I'd talked to him previously. And I said, well, we need to talk about that at the meeting and sing the virtues of your sound management of the golf course. So I guess that's not anything to look askance at, that he's brought in $1 million out there. My other question is about surplus property. I asked about